In the northwest of the academy, on Mount Oran, after climbing up there, Anise said that this was not a very high mountain, but a mountain is still a mountain. There are some places that are quite dangerous, and considering the season, if you slip in the snow, some students could be seriously injured. She also said that this was tiring. Seeing Ed, who still looked relaxed, Anise asked, "You don't seem tired at all." Seeing her complaining of being tired, Ed said that it was time for them to rest. He then invited her to rest for a while showing her charm. Anise thanked him. She also did not forget to praise his good stamina. He also cares about others. It seems like she was wrong about him. Ed could only feel confused hearing that. Anise asked, he must have realized it a bit, right? She is very close to Janica, so she is worried that she might hang out with the wrong people. That's why she might act a bit cold towards him. She felt that she had been cold to him all along, because of her worries. Hearing that, Ed said that it was fine, he didn't mind it. Ed actually didn't care much about it. While checking their visit list, Ed thought, now, the next point they should check, they should finish it as soon as possible. Ed then said to her that she might be exhausted from being the most reliable student assistant alone. She must be having a hard time too. Hearing that, Anise said that he had a point, but that wasn't the case. While embracing his hand, Anise said, because there are you, Ed, of course. The other two boys are very helpful too, but his being here really made her strong. She then apologized if she opened old wounds. She asked, but you were kicked out of your family, right? Anise said that she went through something almost the same. Right after she went to school, her family collapsed, but she really wanted to stay in this school, so she broke through it alone. It was like enduring a long and lonely winter alone. Anise closed her eyes for a moment as she recalled those sad memories. Ed was a little confused at this time. She clearly had the impression of someone who was persistent, financial problems or whatever. She had handled everything by herself. Ed then told her that she didn't need to push herself. Good job, she was able to survive until here. Hearing that, Anise thanked him. She said that they seemed to have a lot in common. Looking at her image that he had never seen before, Ed was confused. Wasn't she previously a more practical and realistic person rather than someone who was so sentimental? But as Anise was walking forward, she suddenly lost her balance. It made her fall in Ed's arms. Seeing that, Ed then immediately caught her and asked her to be careful. While blushing, Anise thanked him. She tripped over a rock. Ed was then confused to hear that, because he didn't see a single rock there. With a flushed face, Anise confusedly asked why her body was warming up like this. She then stutteringly said that she would calm down for a while. She asked Ed to just sit here for a while. She would come back. Ed could only feel confused at her behavior. After distancing herself from Ed, Anise then thought about her interaction with Ed earlier. From the outside, he seems really nice and reliable. She wondered, is he just pretending? It's hard to tell. A colleague who survived the academy life together. Their bond is like that. He seems reliable, but if you dig deeper, he is actually fragile and makes her want to protect him. She doesn't know if he likes more mature people or he prefers someone cute and younger, so she had been trying to do both, a little touch here and there, then ended with a touch under the guise of accident. Everything went according to plan. Anise was silent for a while. She then thought, maybe I got carried away. While blushing, she thought, regardless, she didn't expect it, but his physical body turned out to be good. Although he looks very intellectual, it turns out that his body is more muscular than she thought. She thought he was just a spoiled noble child who never tried. But it turns out that he is more competent than she thought. As for his face, Ed's face looks very handsome in Anise's eyes. It's fitting that Janica fell in love with him. While Anise was thinking about it deeply, she then understood something. So this is how he attracts girls. With her usual cold nature, Anise muttered, but I'm different, Ed Roth-Taylor. While Ed himself was now still standing where they were before. While waiting for Anise's arrival, Ed then admired the beautiful scenery in front of him. The view of Mount Oran can make us forget our worries temporarily. But there are some things that have no solution, no matter how hard we try. For example, the problem with Tanya Roth-Taylor, the villainess. That's probably the best word to describe her. Tanya is a political genius, a child who fits the noble family. Her political instincts and talent for manipulation are natural. She aims to become the first freshman to become student council president in the history of Sylvania. Later, she will start influencing important figures in the academy. Belle Maya told him that Tanya arrived at the dormitory earlier than the others. She most likely did that to secure her power base before the semester started. Tanya Roth-Taylor was not just an ordinary character in the background, she was an influential villain. Ed thought that he could prepare first because he still remembered some things, but the problem was, how Tanya Roth-Taylor would treat him. He didn't know that at all. Tanya might know, but he himself didn't know. It wasn't about others. It was about himself. Ed Roth-Taylor was a small villain who appeared briefly and then disappeared. The material for his plot was not explored in great detail, and even his epilogue was easily forgotten. He is really an extra character, so, Ed realized, there were no clues to follow. None at all. That's why he thought this was an insurmountable problem. He once again wondered, how did Tanya Roth-Taylor view Ed Roth-Taylor? To Tanya Roth-Taylor, Ed Roth-Taylor was trash. That was roughly her impression of her sibling. She was now on her way to Sylvania. Sylvania was filled with stars, princess of the Klol Empire, the original leader of the Eltstor, the spirit sorcerer who was able to handle high-level spirits in her teenage years, the great alchemist who created the elixir of inscription, a ferocious child who used to rule the northern vegetation zone, the sword demon of the Nortendale family, a fighter who mastered the swordsmanship ceremony, and the most extraordinary among them, the genius magician who might have received the star blessing from the Archmage Glocked. Just thinking about it already makes her heart beat because she can't wait to meet those dignified figures. It's only natural that she admires them. In this Sylvania Academy, she will blend in among them and live a satisfying academy life. When she arrived at the academy, a maid then told her that the luggage she sent was taken care of by the maids. Her room was in the second room on the third floor. After Tanya got out of the carriage, she then asked her to help clear the entry procedure through the attendant. She had to stop by somewhere first. The maid understood. Her first task in Sylvania, the land of knowledge that she admired so much, was to get rid of the family disgrace, that Ed Roth-Taylor. Tanya felt disgusted when she remembered him. While waiting for someone she asked to meet, she then read a letter written by her father. Krefin in the letter said, "Hearing your resolutions makes me happy as your father. I really want to support your ambitions, represent me and build connections with them, expand your influence." Tanya was very touched reading the letter. She then promised her father that she would fulfill his expectations. Before heading to Sylvania, the land of knowledge, she conveyed 2 resolutions to her father. Krefin told her, Sylvania will show her respect as befits her status, but in essence, this is a place to study. Even the princess treated the professors there with respect, because they were mentors of learning. He told her not to be presumptuous just because of her noble status. Anyone who was a grade higher than her was her senior. Seeing the arrival of the person she was waiting for, Tanya then thanked her for her time. She said, she should have known about that guy, right? So there was no need for her to explain at length. He was a stain on their family and a thorn-like human being. She grew up with him, so she knew him very well. Hearing that, the person said, "You must have had a hard time," while smiling slightly. Tanya said that her childhood was not as difficult as hers. She also silently thought, driving this conversation naturally is not so difficult. Tanya continued, "He is full of pretense and does not know anything about politeness, like a barbarian, that kind of person. Just because of his age, he held the position of successor to the head of the family." As the conversation between the two of them progressed, this was quite surprising to Tanya. She apparently only had to give a few topics and they agreed so quickly over their dislike for him. Tanya said that he can't be serious. He just liked to feel a little and then give up, but his arrogance was so great that he never admitted his incompetence. He only just felt a little resonance magic, but already acted like he was some kind of grand magician. When he finally made it into Sylvania, she was completely stunned at that time, but seeing him causing chaos and ending up like this, it was honestly satisfying. Tanya never thought that Ed's severe reputation could come in handy like this. Hearing that, her interlocutor then asked, "So," Tanya continued, "surely, someone like her must have quickly figured out his true self. That's why, this time," but she suddenly felt hesitant to continue her words. She then finally realized, this is not called talking. She was just talking to herself from earlier. He then remembered the message his father had conveyed before meeting her. Always remember this when meeting someone who Dad introduced you to. Show respect for her, especially for negotiations and transactions. Never underestimate your interlocutor. It will definitely be a valuable experience for you. But Krefin suddenly did not continue his words at that time. She and her father at that time were acquainted in a project related to the Sage's Scroll. Tanya then told herself to stay strong. Seeing her suddenly silent, Lortelle then asked, "Why?" She told her to continue what she said earlier. Tell her. Tanya suddenly felt nervous when she heard that. She felt like her body was being wrapped around a big snake at the moment. It made her suffocate. Tanya then nervously said that it was nothing. She politely asked, if she could ask, was she angry? Lortelle grinned at that. She then asked her back, what did she mean? With a sly smile, Lortelle said that this was interesting.